Um, what if I told you that just 5 minutes of walking up the stairs could do, like, significantly more to protect you from premature death than, forcing yourself through a miserable hour-long gym session that you absolutely hate?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And welcome to our conversation today. I am genuinely thrilled to have you joining us because we're going to take our time today and just thoroughly explore a topic that honestly touches almost all of us.
It really does. It's about physical activity, longevity, and, that immense heavy guilt we all carry around when we feel like we just aren't doing enough.
Exactly. And our mission today is to completely redefine what counts as a workout for you. We want to look closely at how, like, radically small amounts of movement can extend your lifespan. And we're going to do this at a very slow, relaxed, and deliberate pace.
It is a pleasure to be here, and I think setting a relaxed tone is absolutely perfect for this subject because we have this ingrained cultural narrative that physical activity, well, that it must be this all or nothing endeavor.
Oh, totally. The messaging is always like, no pain, no gain.
Right. The implication is that if you aren't completely exhausted, drenched in sweat, and pushing your physical limits, you are somehow failing. But the reality of human biology is, far more forgiving and, frankly, much more fascinating. We don't need to view movement as a punishment.
I really want to start right there, actually, by challenging that whole, hour-long gym session mentality.
Yeah.
Because there's a massive recent study that completely upends how we should view exercise.
Yes, the Scandinavian data. It's incredibly compelling.
Right. We are talking about a large-scale analysis out of Scandinavia that looked at over 150,000 adults. I mean, this wasn't a small trial. It was a population-level observation.
And covering the UK, the US, and Scandinavia, it's a huge data set.
Yeah. And the headline finding, it's the kind of thing that makes you rethink your entire day. They found that just 5 minutes of moderate activity a day, so something like brisk walking, cycling, or just carrying your groceries up the stairs, could prevent around 1 in 10 premature deaths. 5 minutes.
Well, it sounds almost like a typo when you first hear it.
Right.
Yeah, 1 in 10 premature deaths prevented by a 5-minute behavioral shift. But we do need to, add some important context here so we aren't overpromising.
Good point. What's the catch?
Well, the standard medical recommendation, like what you'd see from global health organizations, is still 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity a week. That remains a fantastic benchmark for optimal health.
So, like, roughly 20 minutes a day.
Exactly. And if you are someone who is already very fit, running marathons or playing tennis 3 times a week, adding an extra 5 minutes of walking isn't going to drastically change your risk profile.
Okay, let's unpack this because that specific context is actually what makes this so incredibly hopeful for the average person.
How do you mean?
Well, if you are someone who works a desk job and you are starting from zero, the mathematical leap from 0 minutes to 5 minutes is absolutely massive. I mean, I look at this a lot like financial compound interest.
Oh, that's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, like if you have $0 saved for retirement, finding a way to deposit just $5 a day changes your entire financial trajectory. It's a tiny deposit, but over decades, the compounding dividends are life-altering.
That's spot on. The baseline shift is the most important part.
But I do want to push back on this just a bit. Is 5 minutes actually enough time to biologically alter your health? Or is this just, a statistical trick where doing anything at all just happens to look better on a spreadsheet than doing absolutely nothing?
I would frame it slightly differently. It isn't a statistical trick at all. The statistics simply reveal a profound biological reality about how our bodies are wired.
Okay, so something is actually happening in those 5 minutes.
Oh, definitely. You aren't going to induce massive muscle hypertrophy or train for the Olympics with 5 minutes a day. But from a cellular maintenance perspective, you are triggering essential survival mechanisms.
Like what specifically?
Well, when you transition from a completely sedentary state to a moderate activity like climbing stairs, your biology shifts gears almost instantly. Your muscles are not just mechanical pulleys, right? They are highly active endocrine organs.
Wait, endocrine organs, like they were releasing hormones?
Precisely. When your muscle fibers contract, They secrete specialized proteins into your bloodstream called myokines.
Myokines. I don't think I've heard of those.
Yeah, they act as chemical messengers. They travel throughout your body, signaling your liver to process energy, reducing systemic inflammation, and actively instructing your cardiovascular system to adapt.
Wow. So it's like sending out a system-wide alert.
Exactly. So in those 5 minutes, you aren't just burning a few calories, you are sending a biological wake-up call to your entire system. And there's research from people like Nicole Logan showing how incredibly strong predictors physical function and muscle strength are for later life mortality.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because we often talk about metabolism like it is this static number. You either have a fast one or a slow one.
Right, the whole I have a slow metabolism myth.
Yeah. But researchers in this space, particularly Marie Murphy, use this concept called the metabolic mill. And I always like to visualize the metabolism as a campfire.
A campfire. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, so doing one giant grueling workout at 6 in the morning is like throwing a massive heavy log on the fire once a day. It burns huge and hot for a few hours, but by the time you get home from work in the evening, it's nothing but cold embers.
Right, the fire just burns out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this concept of exercise snacking, doing a few minutes of activity spread throughout the day, is like tossing a small dry branch onto the fire every couple of hours.
That campfire analogy works beautifully, but let's ground it in what is actually happening in the blood.
Yeah, please do.
If your metabolism is the fire, think of the excess blood sugar and circulating triglycerides, the fats in your blood, as debris or smoke that can build up and damage your cells over time.
Okay, so the debris is bad news.
Very bad news. When your fire is just cold embers because you've been sitting for 6 hours, that cellular debris accumulates. This is where insulin resistance begins.
Right. Which leads to a whole host of problems.
Exactly. But when you toss that dry branch on the fire when you do a 5-minute exercise snack, your muscles suddenly demand energy. And here is the brilliant part. Muscle contractions can physically pull glucose out of your bloodstream and into the cells without even needing much insulin.
Wait, really? The physical act of the muscle squeezing, it just forces the cell doors open to clear out the blood sugar.
Essentially, yes. It is a process called non-insulin dependent glucose uptake.
That is fascinating. So you bypass the insulin system completely.
You do, and when you stop your 5-minute snack, that metabolic fire doesn't just instantly vanish. Your blood vessels remain slightly dilated, your heart rate slowly recovers, and your body continues to clear out that cellular debris long after you've sat back down.
So the fire keeps crackling.
Right. By scattering these small snacks throughout your day, you are constantly keeping that physiological cleanup process running.
That makes total sense, but it also brings up a rather terrifying question about the opposite scenario.
Okay, what's that?
Let's say I am fully bought in. I do my 5-minute stair climb right after breakfast, and my metabolic fire is burning. But then I go to work, sit in my chair, and remain completely frozen at my desk for 10 unbroken hours. Does that morning exercise snack protect me from the 10 hours of sitting?
Well, it offers some protection, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, this raises a crucial point that we have to address: the biological danger of prolonged sitting.
Yeah, we've all heard sitting is the new smoking.
And there's a reason for that. Sitting is not just a neutral state where your body is resting. When you are entirely sedentary for hours on end, you are actively sending a shutdown signal to your vascular system.
A shutdown signal. That sounds intense.
It is. The inner lining of your blood vessels, called the endothelium, requires the sheer stress of flowing blood to stay healthy. When you sit still, blood flow slows down, and those endothelial cells stop producing nitric oxide.
And nitric oxide is important because...
It's the molecule that keeps your arteries flexible and healthy.
Oh, wow. So, by sitting perfectly still, I am literally telling my arteries to stiffen up.
You are creating an environment where they lose their elasticity, yes. This is why cutting down on total sedentary time is the critical second half of the longevity equation.
You can't just throw one branch on the fire in the morning and expect it to survive a 10-hour downpour.
Exactly. The research indicates that cutting your daily sitting time by just 30 minutes is linked to a 7% reduction in early death.
7%. Just from 30 minutes less sitting.
Yes. And you don't need to replace that sitting time with a high-intensity sprint. You simply need to break the continuum of inactivity.
So just standing up and pacing around the room disrupts that shutdown sequence.
Exactly. And we see this clearly when we look at the data on step counts. We have all been haunted by the 10,000 steps a day rule.
Oh, absolutely haunted.
Right. If you work at a computer, looking at your wrist at 4 in the afternoon and seeing you've only taken 3,000 steps is incredibly demoralizing. It makes you want to just give up.
Oh, I know that feeling intimately. You feel like you've already failed the day, so why bother doing anything at all?
But the data paints a vastly different picture. We know that the health benefits of walking are highly nonlinear. The steepest part of the benefit curve is at the very beginning.
Meaning the jump from zero to something is the biggest win?
Precisely. One comprehensive review found that if you take someone who averages around 2,000 steps a day, which is very sedentary, and you increase their routine to just 2,500 to 2,700 steps, their cardiovascular risk drops by 11%.
Let me just pause on that. Going from 2,000 steps to 2,500 steps. Wait, we're talking about an increase of roughly 500 steps.
That's right.
That is barely a lap around the grocery store. And that alone drops cardiovascular risk by 11%.
It does, because going from complete inactivity to light activity restores that basic endothelial function and insulin sensitivity we were just talking about.
So it isn't about becoming an athlete.
Not at all. It is a biological rescue mission for your vascular system.
So what does this all mean for us practically? If the science is this robust and the bar is set so astonishingly low, I mean, 5 minutes of movement, a few hundred extra steps, why do we still struggle so much to do it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. I will be the first to admit, there are days I pack my gym bag, leave it by the door, and at the end of the day, I just walk right past it. The mental friction of getting changed, driving somewhere, sweating, showering, it just feels like a mountain.
You are describing the fundamental flaw in how we approach fitness. We rely entirely on willpower, and willpower is a finite cognitive resource.
Especially at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday.
Exactly. By the end of a stressful workday, it is depleted. Behavioral scientists, like Amanda Daly, are now focusing heavily on removing that friction entirely through a concept known as snacktivity.
Snacktivity. I love that term.
The entire premise is that you do not use willpower. You build unconscious habits.
But how do you make exercise unconscious?
Yeah.
I feel like I am always acutely aware when my heart rate goes up and I start breathing hard.
You tie the physical activity to environmental triggers that already exist in your daily routine. You don't schedule a workout, you pair movement with a habit.
Okay, can you give an example?
Sure. The behavioral data on this is striking. In studies focusing on snacktivity, particularly among older adults, they see an 82% retention rate over the long term.
82%. The fitness industry would kill for those numbers. Most people abandon their new gym memberships by, like, the second week of February.
They abandon them because the friction is too high. With exercise snacking, you don't change your clothes, you don't drive anywhere, you don't need equipment.
You just do it.
You just perform the movement in whatever clothing you're wearing, in the exact environment you are already in.
I actually love the real-world examples that researchers found people naturally adopting. Things like doing a set of bodyweight squats or leg kicks in the kitchen while waiting for the pasta water to boil.
Yes, that's a
Oh.
perfect one.
Or putting on a song and doing a few minutes of vigorous hoovering, like really getting into vacuuming the living room. Or simply making it a rule to park the car a 5-minute walk away from the store entrance instead of circling the lot for 10 minutes looking for the closest spot.
Or choosing to carry a heavy basket of groceries instead of pushing a cart.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah, your forearms and shoulders will burn a bit, but that mechanical stress is exactly what signals your bone-building cells, called osteoblasts, to increase your bone density.
Oh, wow. So it's not just cardio, it's bone health too.
Absolutely. You are maintaining your structural integrity while doing errands.
It's so clever because, you're always going to wait for the kettle to boil. You're always going to wait for the microwave to beep.
Right, those triggers happen every single day.
If you just decide that the microwave humming is your cue to pace the hallway or do a few calf raises, you completely eliminate the dread of getting ready to work out. The environment is prompting you.
This raises an important question, though, about human behavioral design. If we look at the broader implications, it highlights how much we have engineered physical exertion out of modern society.
Ooh, complete.
We have moving walkways, remote controls, food delivery apps, and drive-thrus. We have succeeded in designing an incredibly comfortable world, but our biology requires a baseline level of physical challenge to simply operate correctly.
So we've designed a world so frictionless that it's actively shutting down our cellular maintenance.
That is a very accurate, if slightly depressing, way to view it. But human behavioral design also shows us that reversing this doesn't require a radical lifestyle overhaul.
Which is the good news.
Exactly. Simple environmental prompts work wonders. For instance, studies have shown that just placing a small, highly visible sign next to an elevator that gently reminds people of the health benefits of the stairs leads to a significant, measurable increase in stair usage.
Really. Just a sign.
Just a sign. When people are given a subtle nudge and they understand that even 1 minute matters, they change their behavior.
Well, this has been such a refreshing, deeply relieving conversation. It strips away so much of the anxiety tied to health.
I'm really glad to hear that. It should be an empowering message.
Absolutely. So to recap the major takeaway for you listening today, exercise does not have to be an hour-long punishment. It is not an all-or-nothing test of your character.
It really isn't.
Instead, view movement as an essential ingredient that you can lightly sprinkle throughout your day. A minute here while the coffee brews, 2 minutes there while walking from the car. It all adds up to that incredibly powerful 5-minute threshold that keeps your metabolic fire burning and your blood vessels healthy.
And it protects those endothelial cells.
Yes, exactly. You truly never need to feel guilty again about missing a formal workout as long as you are embracing these tiny, potent exercise snacks.
It is a message of profound biological optimism. Your body is incredibly resilient, and it is constantly waiting to reward you for even the smallest, most manageable investments in your daily movement.
I love that. Well, before we part ways, I want to leave you with a slightly provocative thought to mull over. We just talked about how society has engineered all the effort out of our lives. What if you started intentionally designing your own home or workspace to slightly inconvenience yourself?
Oh, that's an interesting challenge.
Right. Think of one appliance you use every single day. Maybe it's your coffee maker or your phone charger. Challenge yourself tomorrow to pair that appliance with a 1-minute physical snack. Maybe put your coffee mugs on the very bottom shelf so you have to do a deep squat to get one.
That's brilliant.
Or commit to pacing the length of your living room every time you plug your phone in to charge. Introduce just a little bit of healthy friction back into your environment.
I highly recommend everyone give that a try.
Well, it has been an absolute joy having you join us for this conversation today. We deeply appreciate you taking the time to slowly, thoughtfully explore these concepts with us.
The pleasure was all mine.
We wish you nothing but the absolute best as you start sprinkling these new, highly achievable longevity habits into your week. Take care of yourself, enjoy those little exercise snacks, and have a wonderful, healthy rest of your day.